the recruiter
combination.
didn't know because like I also asked her what to expect in the OA and she was like, "Oh, probably some leak code," but I feel like it was more class design. So I just feel like I can't trust what she's
Yeah,
saying, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
she's not trying to sabotage me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she has no incentive to sabotage you. I'm just saying they also don't really have an incentive to know what's going on either. So, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, we'll get this started. Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay. So you're in here. It's looking good. All right. So today's mock, we're gonna be doing a couple things, and by a couple of things, I mean
Okay.
mostly one thing. But I'll try to do this in a more interesting format, which is we're gonna do a basic OOD just to kind of get a grasp on your class design, so that I can there's some feedback potential there, and then we're gonna transition to a more algorithmic focus on one component of the class. Okay, so that'll make a little more sense once we get there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but the timeline's going to be we're going to aim to spend about 15 or so minutes on outlining the classes, and then we're going to spend another maybe 25 or so, I would say, on the lead code side of things, on the more algorithmic development. Okay, so let me give you
Okay.
an
Sure.
outline for what this problem is, and of course, as always, feel free to take notes, ask for clarification as needed, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So
Okay.
today's
Okay.
problem is about designing a smart fridge. Okay. Now
Okay.
the smart fridge has a couple components. The most important one is it knows what ingredients it has. It knows what's inside of it. Okay.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
knows it has like 2 tomatoes. It knows it has like 4 pounds of potatoes or shit. So it keeps track of the inventory. Okay. And the second thing it does is it has a recipe book. All right. So the recipe book could be like, hey, if you have 2 tomatoes and a potato, you could make like French fries or some shit. Okay. So it has a recipe book. A
Okay.
recipe book in this context just means you have some input ingredients and it produces an output product. So it's
Okay.
like a mapping in that sense. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So let's
Got
just start with
it.
this for now. I want you to walk me through um, what classes, like what design you would make for representing, for representing this information, and then we'll take it from there. So why don't you start us off?
Okay. Okay. So I'm thinking we have a class called Fridge, and then Fridge will probably have um like a list of ingredients. Well, I don't know like how I want to structure the ingredients yet, but like I'm thinking either an array or a hash map of ingredients. Maybe a hash map would be better because then I could map the ingredient to like its quantity. So like maybe that could be beneficial for the recipe book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think for the recipe book, we should probably have mm, maybe the recipe book needs to be a hash map as well because we want to map input ingredients to an output product. What for? Wait, can you give an example of what like an item in the recipe book would be like again?
So the recipe, I mean, you decide how it's represented. That's your job. But the purpose of the recipe book is to have a list of all of the combinations you can have as inputs and the output result. So as an example, one of the possible inputs is 2 tomatoes and 1 potato. Okay, and the result is you get like French fries. So like that would be an
Okay.
example of a recipe. It's not just to
Okay.
clarify.
Okay.
It's not a process. It's not like cooking recipe. It's just like input and output. Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
that helps you
So
clarify.
like could there be multiple different combinations that produce the same output?
There could be, yeah. So it could be it could be maybe 1 tomato and 2 potatoes also gives you French fries. Maybe it's a different. Maybe it's like a different type of French fries, but like there can be many different ways to make the same one. French fries maybe is a bit of a basic example, but you can imagine there's substitutes available. So maybe instead of two
Hmm.
tomatoes and 2 potatoes, it's like one unit of ketchup and 2 potatoes gives you French fries. So yes, it's possible. There's many different inputs for the same output. Yes, that's possible.
Okay. Okay. I see. So maybe like maybe we could map the output to a list of inputs because like if an output can have different combinations of ingredients, then maybe we should group them together. So it could be like an output that gets mapped to a list of inputs. And like for each of the inputs, maybe it would look like, maybe it could be like a tuple of the ingredient and the quantity, because we need both of those informations for the output.
Sorry,
Uh,
could you repeat that again? I missed that.
like to hold the recipe book, we could have the output getting mapped to a list of inputs, and then each
Okay.
input could be a tuple of the ingredient and quantity.
Okay.
Uh,
That's something. What would I'm curious. Why are you deciding to, for example, map the output to the input? Is that I mean, just by the wording, that sounds backwards. Is there a reason for that?
well, I just thought because, like, since we can have different combinations of inputs
Mm-hmm.
getting mapped to the output, then, like, maybe we'd want to group together those combinations. But I'm not too sure yet because I don't really know what the use case for the recipe book is yet.
So I mean, I'm not sure if I missed this or maybe you missed it, but the purpose, the high level purpose is basically to say, hey, given our current inventory in the smart fridge, recommend me some recipes.
Oh, wait, let me write that down.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, then in that case, I think it's better to map the input to output because we want to be able to know what we have, to know what recipes we can produce. So, like, the input could be, let me think about how I can map that. I think the input, I think the mapping should be like a list of inputs mapped to an output, and then each input
Okay.
is like an ingredient and quantity.
And
Yeah.
okay, so for the example you have, so let's say we have two recipes for French fries, right? So let's say we have two tomatoes plus two potatoes gives you French fries, and also one ketchup plus two potatoes gives you French fries. Okay, can you tell me how to represent this in your data model? I want to just clarify. I want to just
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I think it would look like ketchup, one, uh, tomato, two, and then this gets mapped to French fries. And then we have tomato, two, potato, two, French fries.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Let's proceed.
Okay. Um, I think that's all I'm thinking of right now. Like we just have a hash map of ingredients and then a hash map for mapping inputs to outputs. Um,
Okay, can you yeah, I mean, this is all still pretty high level. I'm liking the direction. You do need to actually make the classes
okay.
though, like for the problem. So feel free to
Oh,
start
okay,
whenever.
okay. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, do we need to like what sort of methods will be in this class?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the main interfacing with this would be with the fridge. Okay, so we need a way to like add ingredient to the fridge, remove ingredient from the fridge. You know, those two should just be available as like regular actions. They can call them under any circumstance. Please make reasonable assumptions about edge cases. Okay,
Okay.
and then there's going to be a function that's like recommend recipe. Like give me something I can cook. Right, recommend recipe should be
Okay.
it should just pick a valid recipe. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Just picks just shows you a valid recipe that is doable. Yeah.
Okay. So if there's multiple recipes, we just have to output one.
Just output one. That's right.
Okay. Okay. I see. Like, I think adding and removing ingredients should be pretty straightforward, but recommending a recipe, uh, trying to think how to do that effectively.
So just to,
Like,
I want to just give a little context here, right? So that's going to be more of the algorithmic section, implementing recommend recipe. Okay, so that's going to be
oh,
a bit of
okay.
part two, right? Now, I'm just letting you know that this is going to be the problem coming up, right? But regardless of how that's implemented, you still need to put it in a class, presumably, hopefully. Have some supporting functions, maybe that might be useful, some helpers, right? So um, don't worry about the implementation of that yet. Let's just come up with the class representations first.
Okay. So like I'm definitely gonna have a class for the fridge to represent the inventory. And I'm also maybe thinking of having a class for the ingredients. Would probably just store like the name of the ingredient and potentially the quantity. Unless I store the quantity in the fridge. That would probably make more sense if I store the quantity in the fridge. Yeah, the ingredient class might just contain the name of the ingredient if that's necessary. Okay. Okay, I think I can get started. So I'll call this fridge, and then I'm gonna have my constructor. Okay, so I'm gonna have a list of ingredients, which will be a hash map. And then I'm also gonna have my recipes. Yeah, okay. And then gonna add an ingredient. Do add ingredient. And then this should take in the ingredient. And do we also want the method to be able to add a certain quantity of the ingredient, or should we
Yeah,
assume a
no, that
quantity
sounds
of
like a
one?
no. I think that's a reasonable
Okay,
assumption. Yeah.
okay, okay. So, yeah. Okay, then I think I need to have my class for ingredient, and then gonna have the name of the ingredient, and that's probably it. Okay, so then I'm gonna create the ingredient with the name. Okay, and then I'm gonna add it to my hash map.
Mm-hmm.
Ingredients dot ingredient dot name, and then I'm going to put the quantity. Yeah, this should be an integer, and this should be an ingredient. Wait, I don't know about this yet. Okay, so this is for adding an ingredient, and then to remove an ingredient, I'm gonna pass in the same parameters. Uh, I'm assuming like we also want to pass in the quantity for remove, right?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then I'm gonna be like self dot ingredients at the ingredient dot name quantity. And then I should check if there's no more of this ingredient, then we can just delete it from the map. Um, Would we
Okay.
want to handle the case if like we're given a quantity that's greater than the actual inventory?
Yeah, you should
Like
probably handle that.
okay. So like in that case, would we just want to set the value to zero? Like remove all
Uh,
of the inventory that we have, or should
I
we
would
return an error?
I would probably return an error. I would say that that's not a valid operation.
Okay, okay. So let's say if quantity is greater than self dot ingredients name, then we can print an error. Uh, okay. And then I'm gonna check if then I'm going to delete the key. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that looks pretty good to me. Should we run through some test cases?
You could write a couple basic ones. I want to see maybe a couple basic ones, but we don't need to spend too much time on that. We can move on.
Okay, 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 okay. So um, let's do, then I want to add an ingredient. I want to add a tomato. Oops. I want to add two tomatoes, and then I will print out uh, fridge dot ingredients, and we should see tomato mapped to two. Okay, I think that looks good. And then let me try removing the tomatoes. I'll remove one. Oh, wait. Quantity is greater than self-dot ingredient. Interesting. Why is that happening? Uh, let me debug this.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm trying to print out the quantity of the tomatoes
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Yep.
Zero. Um, um, interesting. Why? Wait. Let me print out the quantity after we add it. Why is that happening? Wait, what? It's getting added as two, and then it becomes zero. Wait, what? Am I missing something obvious?
A little bit, but what's your strategy for debugging in this case?
I'm adding print statements.
Okay. Actually, now thinking about encoder pad, that's kind of your only option. Okay. What do you expect um, to be like? What am I looking at? Like you have these two operations. You are adding a tomato. You're printing it out. Oops. What is this? So this fridge dot ingredients. This is the um, like what is for each ingredients? There's a default dict of what? What's the
Yeah.
key here?
Oh, it's the ingredient object.
What do you like? What would you want to put in the key, if anything? Like it doesn't like as long as you're consistent, you can be it's fine. But I want to be clear because you're using the name, right? Is that the goal here?
Yeah, I'm using the name, but maybe it would make more sense to use the object.
You
But I'm
can
using the name in both
you can
cases
use the
here.
name or the object. That's not a big like
Yeah.
what I will tell you just to kind of move us along a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on this. If you're in your if statement, if your quantity is greater than these self ingredients, by the way, one thing you forgot is to put an else. At least in this case, like if you're if you're
Oh,
greater
yeah.
than it, you don't want to do that. But we can talk about this after. I wanted to move along to the because we're a bit low on time. I want to move along to the next part, which is excuse me. One thing I haven't seen here is how you have represented recipes, and I wanted to just cover that in the data model before we proceed. So can you just quickly write um, an implementation for the data model?
Okay. Okay. So do we want to like have an interface to add a recipe? Is that the goal?
Yeah. So how would you represent recipes? Right? Because you need a function over here. Over here somewhere
Yeah,
that's like recommend recipe, right?
recommend recipe. Okay. What? Um, okay. Should we like assume that I already have this recipe's hash map filled out, or should I also implement that too?
For now, you can assume it's filled out. That's fine.
Okay. Um, Let me think. So like what I'm thinking is to just iterate through recipes and like for each recipe, I would check if we have all of the ingredients required for that recipe. Uh, Wait, I don't actually need to pass the ingredients. And like what I mean by that is we would just iterate through self.ingredients and check if that recipe, if we have enough ingredients for that given recipe. So like for example, if we're looking at the first recipe, it requires one ketchup and one tomato. So I would check in my ingredients if I have those items. And then if I do, then I can just return that recipe.
Okay, yeah, say again. I think you're on the right track. Don't double check.
Like I would just iterate through each recipe. And
Okay.
then for each recipe, iterate through the required ingredients and
Okay.
check if we have those ingredients in self.ingredients. And then if we do, then I can return that recipe.
Okay. No, I think that's a good first step. Let's do that. Um, you still need to write the recipe. Okay. No, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, and then I want to check ingredients. Okay, so for ingredients in self dot recipe. Wait, let me think about how this is structured. So, like it, okay, it looks like I have my key as an array, but I don't know if you can use a list as a key. So I don't know if I can actually iterate through like an array. Uh,
Yeah, you can't. I mean, that would be more difficult to do. But why do you need to iterate through like the key? I'm missing this. But like, why do you need to go through the key specifically?
Because those are the required ingredients for the recipe.
Right, and what's wrong with that being a list?
Oh, like there's nothing wrong with it being a list, but
Okay.
I just don't know if I can have a list as a key in a hash map.
The answer is actually no. So you're right about that. But that's a if you don't know the quick fix for that, just as soon as possible move on. We won't be running that part of the code.
Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking like I could just have like one key that's like recipe, and then it gets mapped to an array. Actually, that's kind of confusing. Okay, I don't really know. Um, okay, so I'm iterating through the ingredients in self.recipes. Yeah, I'm not really sure how the syntax would look like, but I need to check if we have this ingredient in our fridge. Um, but like I need to track the ingredients that I'm using because actually, wait, never mind. I think it's fine. Okay, so for each ingredient, or like for each ingredient and quantity pair in the recipe, I need to check if we have that. So if self dot ingredients, if self dot ingredients at ingredient is greater than or equal to quantity, then we can continue. Okay, else break. Mm, okay, let me think about this. So I'm looping through the ingredients and then I'm checking if we have sufficient ingredients and then continuing. Else, if we don't have enough ingredients, then we can break out of this loop and look at the next recipe. But then how do I determine if the recipe if we have enough ingredients for the current recipe? Uh, mm, I need to like hmm, mm, okay, maybe I can have like a Boolean flag that's like is valid and then initially set it to true. And then once I like if I have an ingredient like if I encounter an ingredient that I don't have enough of, then I can set this to false and then break out of the loop. And then I can just check if is valid at the end of the loop. Then we can return the current recipe because it means we didn't encounter this condition at all yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm wondering why you don't just flip it around. Like, why don't you just make this less than and then break inside of here?
Oh yeah, I could do that too.
It's a bit less stuff. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes more sense.
cool.
Okay. Should we test this out?
Nope, because there's too many things not working, so there's no point. I would like to. By the way, this syntax here is not valid. What was this supposed to be?
I don't know. Like,
Like, you want to go to the keys of the recipes?
yeah, yeah,
So that would just be dot keys.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Um, okay, so there might be a little problem with this right now. Okay, so right now your logic is correct for the basic examples we've given. Right, so let's say that this is our recipes. We have two recipes right now, right? Actually, let me just think. Let me think. So let's say, okay, so let's say, I'm gonna just delete that. Boom, duplicate that. Duplicate that. I'm gonna say,
oh yeah, I did not consider that.
right?
I kind of just assumed that the ingredients and the keys would be like unique, but
Yeah.
oh,
So what you said so far is your function. So I want to be clear. Your function does work. I now want to elevate it. Okay. So oops, this is supposed to be
oh, okay.
okay. So your function does work for recommending a recipe. Now I think we want to take it to the next level and elevate it to tell me if a given recipe is possible. Right. So I
If a
want
given
yeah.
recipes.
So now I want to
Okay.
write. So we can leave your function as is. We can just leave it here. But I want to write me a second function now that says check recipe. Okay. And check recipe
Check
will take
recipe.
yeah, and this will take in a recipe. Now the recipe again, we can revisit how you want to represent that, but for your case, for your purpose of our problem here, you can just assume it's like a string. Okay. In this case, the string would be ketchup or a string would be French fries, and I want you to tell me if it's possible to produce this item.
Okay. If it's possible to produce this item.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me think about that. So, like, for example, we would be given as the recipe ketchup, and then we can return true if we have one tomato in our ingredients.
That's correct. So if you this is your recipe book,
Okay.
and in your inventory had no, I'm sorry, inventory your fucking ingredients had sorry there should have been freaking potato, but if you had two potato and one tomato, it should return true for ketchup and it should also return true for French fries.
Oh, okay. Uh, okay. I think like we can iterate through the hash map key value pairs and then um wait, let me think of this. Okay, so I'm thinking iterate through key value pairs in recipes, extract the value. Wait, yeah, extract the value for the recipe of interest. So, wait, let me think about this. In our recipes hash map, we could have like multiple outputs, right? Or like, I mean, like we could have multiple catch-ups with different outputs, right? Sorry, different inputs.
Say it again.
Like we could have like another thing that's like potato one, but it also makes ketchup.
Yeah, that's
Is that
possible. Yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I think we have to iterate through the hash map, and then for like each time we encounter the value that's equal to the recipe, we need to check if we have those ingredients in our inventory. Like check if ingredients. I think this logic is pretty similar to what we're doing here, so maybe this can be extracted into a helper function. But yeah, so I'm gonna be like for ingredients and recipe in self dot recipes dot items. Then I'm gonna say if oh, this is the same name. Okay, let me just do for key value. If the value equals recipe, then we want to check if we have the required ingredients. So I think maybe I should put this in like a helper function so I can reuse the logic.
Okay. Yeah.
Check ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna call this helper function instead self dot check ingredient. And then I'll do the same thing here. Okay, let me return false here instead of breaking, and then otherwise I'll return true. And then I'll say if this is true, we can return recipe. And then if if this is true, then what do we want the return value to be for this? Is it just a true or false?
Yeah,
If
it's just a boolean.
okay, so I'll just return this value from the helper function then. Mm, yeah. Wait, let me think about this. Uh, I think like I want to check the specific recipe. Like I shouldn't be looping through all the keys. Let me think.
Well,
Think.
so unlike recommend recipe where you're trying to give any valid recipe, for check recipe you actually have a goal.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay, just checking.
yeah. Wait, let me run through this logic one more time. So I'm iterating through all of the recipes, and
Okay.
then I'm checking if the current recipe is the one that we're interested in. Then I'm iterating through the different ingredients of that recipe. Wait, yeah. Because, like, here I'm just iterating through all of the ingredients of all the recipes. Wait. I think this needs to be a different helper function. Like, this helper function is looking at the single recipe, like iterating through the ingredients in the one recipe. But this one is iterating through all of the recipes.
I mean, both of them are iterating through other recipes.
Oh, yeah.
But you are right in that this wouldn't quite work, for the reason that for the example given over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I need to pass in the recipe as the key. And then like instead of iterating through the keys here, it'd be like the recipe. I'm iterating through each ingredient quantity pair in the current recipe. And then for recommend recipe, I also like looking at the specific ingredients. Does that make sense?
Um, that I mean, that's pretty. There's many ways to get this to work. That I mean, you could develop that method a bit more. I want you to think about this more generically, right? So not specific about, let's say, like recipes or whatnot, but just in terms of how you have an end goal, you know the immediate steps to get to the end goal, and the immediate next steps are not fulfilled.
Oh, um, okay.
Right.
Let,
So then your immediate your immediate previous steps, you can call it next steps. It doesn't really matter. They're not fulfilled, but you might be able to fulfill them.
are you talking about check recipe?
I mean, check recipe is one thing that is definitely a thing. There's different ways to do this. You can modify check recipe to handle this. You can modify check ingredient to handle this. There's a lot of different ways to handle this. But I'm just saying that like you can't just check one layer down.
Oh, um, interesting.
Right, and the example shows that.
Um,
So how would you
oh,
make your code handle the example?
oh, wait, I think I know what you're saying. Because, like, we could have multiple different, like, combinations of ingredients for a given recipe, but just because one of them returns false, it doesn't mean we should return false, like, overall.
Yes.
So, okay, instead of that, let's have, like, a result flag that's initially set to false, and then can do, like, we can update this. Actually, let's just say if this returns true, then we can return true. But if we never return true, then we can return false at the end. I think that makes sense to me.
Uh, sorry, what's the difference? What did you do?
Like, I'm calling check recipe or check ingredients for a given recipe, and then if this returns true, then I can return true here. But if we never get a valid recipe, then we can return false.
I mean, sure, but how does that solve this example here exactly? Right? Like our goal is to run check recipe on French fries, and it should return true.
Hmm.
So like how is that happening in your mind? Like what are you thinking would happen?
Okay, so we call check recipe on French fries,
Yeah.
and then we're looking at our ingredients
Mm-hmm.
for that recipe. So, like, we're looking at these ingredients, and then our inventory is two potato, one tomato. And then we're checking if self.ingredients, ingredient, what's the quantity? So for ketchup, we don't have any ketchup, so then this returns false. So then we return, we don't return true here. And then in the end, we return false.
Right. But we don't return false.
Wait, why not?
Well,
Oh,
because for French fries,
oh,
we can produce
wait.
ketchup.
Oh, I did not see that. Oh, oh, that is interesting.
That is interesting indeed.
Um, Maybe we need to have some sort of nested relationship going on. I don't know how this would work, but maybe
Yeah.
it's like tomato points to ketchup, and then like we have the potato, um, and then like uh, and then somehow we get like this to point, like these both point to French fries.
Uh huh.
Um, like maybe we need,
If I open the drawing menu on the left, which I think we've
oh,
used before, right? So you're saying you would like to have a situation where tomato points to ketchup, which points to French fries, and you would like to have potato also point to French fries. What does that look like?
yeah, a graph.
Yeah, looks like a graph. Well, this time also looks like a tree. But yeah, this looks like a
Hmm.
graph. And we're saying, can we arrive here? Right? This is our
Yeah.
goal. Our goal is, can we arrive here? What does that sound like?
Like a traversal,
Yeah, like a
like a
traversal.
DFS traversal or something.
Yeah, could be any traversal, right? And then you know,
Ugh.
our goal is to say, hey, you can see these edges, maybe not weight, but they have a value associated with them. So ketchup you need one, and potatoes you need two to get there, right? So we're
Oh,
saying, okay,
whoa.
well, for the
Yeah.
incoming nodes, right? Incoming nodes, how many do we have? If you, I mean, you have a fridge to look it up, right? Do we have one? If we have one, then this edge is valid. We can traverse this edge, right? Or let's use the
Yeah.
ketchup. Yeah. So if we don't have one, then we say, okay, we don't have one. We cannot just blindly take this route, but can we produce one? So then say, okay, I'm gonna come over here. I'll use green because I'm an artist. And we say, okay, we need to have one of this, which means that we need to have um, one of this, right? Do we have one of this?
Mhm.
And the answer is yes. So we can use one of this to produce one of this right here. And so this becomes a valid edge.
Yeah.
And because we're here anyways, I'll just continue my talk. What we didn't get to today was if the number wasn't one, right? What the number is 10. You need 10 ketchups and two potatoes, right? That's valid. I mean, this is a ridiculous example, but that's valid. So we don't need one tomato, we need 10 tomatoes,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
we need to have 10 to fulfill the order. And if this wasn't like a one tomato to one ketchup situation, this is, let's say, five tomatoes to three ketchups, which is totally possible, well, then you would need to do a ratio, right? So if you want 10, that's a horrible example. Let's use five and three the other way around. I just typed it completely backwards. Five and three the other way around. Then you would need 10, you would need six,
Hmm.
right? So those would have been the follow-ups basically. And then there would have been some other ones with like nutrition, but that's okay. We'll get there in the future. Okay, that's kind of we're kind of at time. This is how far we got. Um, there's some feedback to give, but before we get there, I guess I usually start these off. How do you feel about this? Was it like both? I want to hear a bit about both the format and your expectations about the format, as well as what you thought about your performance in both parts.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like the format. I think it was good. I think like the first question was kind of like easy, like built up my confidence, and then the second part was like extremely hard. But the format made sense. Like it was a logical flow. I think this is a reasonable question to ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, in terms of how I did, I think it was bad because I didn't see the pattern at the end. Like I didn't realize this was a graph traversal problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should have asked more clarifying questions about that example before I
Okay.
tried to implement it. I
Okay.
think that
Yeah.
could have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean that. Yeah. I think that's there is more to be had here, but I think I agree with the overall assessment. Right. Like it's not that the first part I think went okay. We'll get to that as well. The second part was a bit rough. It is a pattern you have to recognize, and the hint I kind of gave at the end there, right, which is basically, hey, we have a goal. We have ways to get to the goal. You have ways to get to the ways to get to the goal, right? So that when you see that structure, you just gotta have the right intuition for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay,
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the first part. So data modeling is something you're probably not too familiar with. I mean, totally understand, not easy. However, that being said, there's still a couple of things I think could have been done. Okay, the first thing is there's a skill in knowing if you know enough information, and that is specific to whether or not you have the right goal set. So one question you should always be asking is, what are we designing the classes for? Right? What is this for? What is this for? That's something which you should always have on the top of your mind, because if you don't know that, there's like you can't be correct, right? It's just chance. So that's a
Yeah.
question you should use to guide your thought process. There's a couple of specific things I want to talk about here. The first thing is recipes should really be a class. Recipes should really be a class. There's a couple litmus tests you should kind of think about
Oh.
when you decide something should be a class. I mean, here's the high level question: is should this thing be a string, or should it be a string in a class? Should it be a class itself with subproperties? Like, there's a lot of these things you should be thinking about, and the reason that's important is because that affects how you're communicating your thought. For example, if you're saying, "Oh, I don't think there should be a class. I think that we should just store these as strings," then to me it sounds like, okay, you must think that this is a temporary thing, or something which cannot change or cannot evolve,
Oh
right?
yeah, recipes should be a class because then I could map or wait. Because like I was like struggling with how to have ingredients in like a list and then have that as a key in the hash map. So maybe
Yeah,
having
I
a
mean, okay,
class would have helped that.
that would have helped that, but
Yeah.
also you were backwards on what a hash. Okay, so I didn't have to I didn't say it in the actual thing, but okay, if you're iterating through a hash map, you're using it wrong. Like, you shouldn't be iterating through a hash map. Like you know what I mean? Like, this is not a correct usage of a hash map. If you're doing this, what you should actually be
True.
doing is put the value as the fucking key. Then you can just do set the recipes at value. Like, that's the point of the map.
I think like in the beginning I considered mapping the recipe to the key, but
Okay.
I think it sounded backwards or something, so I didn't do that.
Okay. Well, by the time you write this, you should be thinking, okay, well, this is obviously not something I should be doing, right? So you should be thinking to. I don't know if you thought that to yourself, if you just thought this was normal, but like when you're editing through a map, you're just wrong. Like, there's so fleetingly few times you should be doing that, that whenever you do, especially when you follow it with a value equals recipe, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not quite right. So you got to be thinking about that. Now, if you had instead put the recipe as the key and then the list of ingredients as a value, that would have been totally fine. That would actually lend itself very
Yeah.
well to a BFS or DFS. That like that actually would have been very fine. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
um, the thing I was alluding to earlier, which is, hey, can you use a list as a key? Yes, you can. You can't use a list, but you can convert the list to a tuple. That would be valid. Now,
Mhm.
the reason that still
Okay.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be logically valid is because, you know, the recipe ingredients require a quantity, and
Mhm.
the quantity can be any number. So just
Mhm.
because you converted the list of quantities to a key doesn't make it a useful key, because you still can't know what number it is. Yet you still have to check every one of them to know what numbers they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a bit of a gap there. I think that might have just been lack of experience or practice. I'm not sure, but a couple of things I have to point out there, because that would probably not look too good in terms of the usage of the map and the choice of not making recipe a class.
Mhm.
Um, okay, and then there's some other notes there. I won't get too much into that, but I want to talk about the second part. The second part, I mean, this was sort of so a couple of things here. First thing is you were spinning your wheels a bit. It didn't look like you were getting good traction on progress for the question, and I don't know if you recognize that yourself or not. Hopefully you did. That's something which you should, probably practice in terms of just doing these problems yourself. There's a lot of these examples, doing yourself, and then just judge yourself. Oh, I think I'm really close right now. Let me see, and then just do the problem. Oh, actually, I was really close. I finished in like 5 minutes. Or it's like, hey, I thought I was really close, and then it actually took me another 30 minutes. Then you weren't close, right? Start practicing to develop that intuition, and what that's going to help you in an actual interview is, if you because you know the time, you know how far along you should roughly be. If you're behind schedule, majorly behind schedule, you should be taking more risks. So in this case, that might mean like, hey, I don't really know what's going on. I'm trying to draw the example. I can't quite figure out what's going on in this case. Is this an edge case I should be carrying? So you should be asking for more help, right? In the
Okay.
situation where you're behind schedule and you don't think you're that close, you're gonna fail the interview anyways. Okay, like, you're gonna fail the interview if you don't change something drastically. So you better just turn it around and try to get a lot of help. Like that is sort of, I don't want to say it that way, but that's sort of your only chance at that point. Okay, and so I think that comes a
Mm-hmm.
lot with like just practically speaking, right? Like that's just how it works. Like know how far along you are in a problem, and that could be both for Leetcode and for OOD. But if you don't have the intuition, you don't even know to ask for help. Right? In this case, it seemed like you weren't that familiar with the edge case. Like I don't. So I'm a bit confused on this one. I actually just told you the edge case, and it seemed like you didn't quite pick that up. Um, that actually was an interviewer giving you help. Like interviewer would just tell you this to give you the hint. Um, if it was a case that you didn't understand it, you should definitely just ask to clarify why is this a problem? What is the difficult part? You should have to. You should just ask that. If
Mm-hmm.
you didn't realize that this was the difficult part of edge case, and I'm sorry. That is just going to be something you have to practice and just get more experience in. But in this case, even when the interviewer is trying to help you and trying to move you along, like this is a thing where you just have to be real with yourself. Hey, am I close? Am I here? Am I there? I need to ask for more help, etc. Okay, so the algorithmic end was not too close in terms of the structure or the idea. And I would say if you actually weren't, if you thought you were close, that's unlucky. You just gotta practice. If you knew you weren't close, I would recommend trying to trying to slow down. Don't try to scramble out code. Your code will never be correct if you're not clear in your head, right? Take the time,
Mm-hmm.
draw out a good example that you understand. Now, so you actually had a good intuition here at the end there with drawing out this little graph, right? That's great. That should have came out 50 minutes ago, right? That like this should have been the first thing on the page. So this is great.
Yeah.
This is too little, too late. Okay, but what I'm saying is, it's not a bad thing to take the time to draw things out. If the alternative is you don't draw it out and you don't know what's going on, right? Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
alternative. So just be real with yourself. See where you are on that spectrum. And in the beginning, I would definitely recommend err on the side of caution. Okay, err on the side of caution, and draw things out a bit more than you think you might need. That's gonna actually help you a lot more. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, Let me see on my notes wise. Well, while I look through my notes, why don't you, if you have any questions or any comments as well, please let me know your thoughts. I want to see what you're thinking.
Mm, like, so you're saying that, like, if I feel like I'm stuck in the interview, then I should just ask for help. But, like, at that point, is it already too late? Like, is there any way to turn it around?
Yeah,
Or
that's a
do
great
I
question.
just,
That's a great question. Okay, so
like, is it even worth it to ask for help at that point? Because then they,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
know, like, it's so blatantly obvious that you
yeah,
don't know how to do it then.
yeah. I mean, look, that's a great question. Here's how I would phrase it: is it's a game theory question. Okay, so here's the thing: if you were to do your performance roughly today without asking for help, I believe that your pass rate will be lower than if you did what you did today, but asked for help immediately. Okay, I'm not saying that if you ask for help, they will pass you. I mean, likely, like you said, they likely won't. But it's between the two won'ts. I think the other one is more in your favor because we
I
did
see.
today. Okay, so there's two pillars of like entry level interviews. There's technical chops and like non-technical chops, like communication, social aspects. Okay, if you're not good, if you what you're saying is okay, my technical chops aren't there in this interview. That's just how it is. Okay, okay, that's fine, right? So that's a write off. We'll move on. Now let's see the other side, right? So what we're saying is we're hedging our bets. We're saying okay, we don't pass the technical side of things. That's how it's gonna be. Great. Now let me see what I can do to salvage the non-technical side, right? Let me show them I know where I am. I can evaluate that I'm not passing. I can evaluate that my code is not good. I can evaluate that aspect. I know how to ask for help. Maybe I've already thought through some of the cases where I don't know, or I know I'm not passing, right?
Mhm.
Demonstrate some skills elsewhere. And then here's the thing: worst case, you fail the technical side anyways, because I mean you weren't going to pass that side. And then you demonstrate enough positive signal on the communication aspect, collaboration aspect that they give you a chance. Or right, or you know, best case, your technical side wasn't that good, but with the help that the interior was willing to give you anyways, you were able to elevate that side. You were able to patch it up, get it to a pass, right? So I'm not saying that if you ask for help, they're going to think you're great. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is that if they don't think you're good at already, what can you do from that point onwards, right? So
Yeah, that makes
it's
sense.
not the right comparison, right? Okay. Yeah, that's sort of
Okay,
what
I
I'm
see.
getting at there. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that sort of
Yeah, yeah, that makes
okay.
sense.
Okay, cool. Um all right. Is that your main question? Anything else?
Yeah, that was my main question.
Okay, cool. I'll send you the feedback async. You can have a look over that, and then obviously reach out if if any have any more questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Where is she? Um, all right. Um, okay, okay. Moving on. Moving on. Okay. So I see a couple new guys in chat. How's it going, guys? You have Discord. I do have Discord. These are scheduled on my Discord. Let me actually see. How do I show that? I don't have my. Okay, I won't show my Discord. Yeah, there's two Discords I'm associated with. One of them is. Where's my stream? Can I just go on my stream? Oh, maybe this isn't on my Twitch. Maybe that's why. Um, the two Discords I'm in have invite links in the description um, on YouTube. Do they have it on Twitch as well? Let me see. Where's my Twitch? How does this work? That's not how you do it. How do you do it on Twitch? I think it's in the profile about. Oh, I see. I don't have my Discords here. Okay, how do I do this? Edit bio. How do I expand this thing? This UI is dog shit. All right. Tech career North Discord. Get an invite link over there. Invite. Copy. Boom. What? Copy. What? Am I tripping? You can't put Discord links here? What's going on? Oh, this is a character limit. Oh, motherfucker. Okay, well, you have to search it up online. Search tech career North Discord. Uh, okay. Well, too bad. Yeah, so but I do have Discords. You can find them on YouTube, which doesn't have a character limit. It is what it is. Where the hell did my stream go? Back to Twitch. Channel. All right. Where is my link? It's over here. The YouTuber account. Hello, YouTuber account. That's kind of funny. What else was that? Unable to pin. Something went wrong. Dude, Twitch is fucking dog shit. Your thought process and way of explaining is extremely clear. Thank you very much. Why do you do these? Dude, the Twitch UI is dog. Okay, let me refresh the page. All right, here we go. Can I pin now? Okay, now I can pin. Why do I do these interviews? Because I'm an extremely kind and generous person. I'm the most humble of them all. Your Discord link is expired for the first one. Okay, let me update that for you. Yeah, I think they expire in every couple of weeks or something. So I do have to update them every once in a while. Let me just do that right now on on YouTube. All right, it's updated. Should be good now. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking. I'm just the most humble of them all. What can I say? All right. Anyways, yeah, that was a pretty interesting question. I was test driving it a while ago for some other mocks I was doing. I thought it was a good question actually. It is a bit difficult, especially if you don't make like this kind of, for example, didn't quite make the. In this case, it wasn't even a graph; it was just a tree. The tree connection that was not easy to make, but once you do make it, it then becomes pretty easy. But this is a very common trope when you're doing OOD slash Leetcode interviews. Is it's not just a literal Leetcode; it's actually a bit of a problem dressed up. So you gotta recognize that. Anyways, let's see what's going on. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at these resumes. What we got here? We got one. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Okay. So this guy's comment is, all right, they're in a couple discords. Nice. Just got my first internship, small scale local company, looking to land an internship in a more well-known company, medium scale like SAP. By the way, just to give you a bit of context, SAP is actually considered very big in the real world. SAP market cap, $200 billion, puts in the top 100 in the world probably. If you're working in tech, $200 billion sounds like pocket change, but in the real world, $200 billion is considered very large. So only say medium scale, SAP, if you're in tech. If you go in the real world and talk about that, people will laugh at you. End goal is big tech, looking for full stack dev roles. ML will be cool, still learning that. Okay, let's take a look. Where are you from? Okay. Is it internship? Look at that internship. Okay, internship. Next summer. Worst case, next fall. Okay. All right. Well, the summer season for most US is recruiting now, so you're just about in time for that. What color? You know, you know what? I'm feeling purple. Yeah. All right. Okay. So you have software dev at a club. I would only put paid experience in the experience section. If these two were paid, that's fine. If they weren't, I would leave them out. Because you have two pieces here, you can even make a club section. All right, let's take a look. The address real client, I would definitely elaborate on what this is. Get rid of that. Okay. I mean, you are a month in already, so. Okay, integrated CNN pipeline Python ground control system allow for autonomous drone to effectively, I will quantify that. Conducted thorough research and performed comparative analysis on various computer vision models for object detection, prioritizing, okay, and perform comparative analysis. 2024, so you've been here for a year. I mean, okay. That's fine. This point is definitely a bit weak. It's too qualitative. There's no actual substance here. And I would also put a link to any demos you have. It could be a GitHub, could be a YouTube video, something to showcasing what you do. I think that would be pretty important to have. Otherwise, there's no content here. Like, I don't know what this is, right? Maintain and debugged. That's not really a thing. UI issues on 8 point. Okay, hold on. What is this? Updating API endpoints in a merge stack. I mean, first things first, put the website here. Second, I would elaborate a bit more about this point over here. I mean, what does stable mean? Are you 4.9s, for example? What's the uptime? What's the performance? What's the regression? I think, you know, because you're here for a little while, like you're here for like this is like 4 months. You know, I think you could talk a little bit about that. Now, I know this is recently ended, so it still might be fresh in your mind. You could probably elaborate still. TA 2 points. That's fine. Once you get more experience, you can get rid of that. Okay, what's this? This is this year. This is before. So since September, since January, you have some stuff over here. This is ongoing. This is since September. Okay. All right. So I'm having a look. Facial recognition. Blah 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 blah. A lot of stuff. Okay. Java. This is TV210. I will split that out. Some stuff. Split that out. JSON. Okay. Um. Okay. First of all, ML not that close. Okay. So if you want to go ML, make a separate resume. Have that one targeted ML. This one, I would not focus on ML at all. It's not competitive, and so I would say you're better off spending the space on non-ML stuff. That's the first thing I would say. Now, main thing here is I think, in terms of the credentials and what I'm looking at here, by far the most important experience you'll have is your current experience. Okay, this is going to be by far the most weight for what people would judge your resume on. So, this is not really resume advice, but I want to give this anyways. Is you should be don't do any projects, don't do any clubs when you're at this co-op, when you're at this internship. Spend 100% of the time you're willing to spend on having impact. Two reasons. First of all, like I said, the other stuff no one will care about. This is not that relevant. The second thing is because it's a smaller, more local company, you can have outsized impact. Okay, so my suggestion is just spend as much time as you're willing on actually having impact there, so that you can. So it's a better use of your time. It's a better investment of your time. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to say. Otherwise, the resume is kind of what I would expect for, if you don't have much experience, that's sort of what I would see. A lot of stuff here is just clearly kind of watery stuff that you just need to put on the page. A couple of things I want to see as a simple improvement. I want to see more quantification. Right, a lot of things here that are very hand wavy. A lot of adjectives, for example. Adjectives don't matter at all. We want to see numbers. That's going to be important. That's going to give people an ability to talk about things. Okay, that's what people will judge you on. I'll give you another obvious example. Okay, let's look at this. This is a good introductory point. However, the only numbers you provide on essentially this entire, you literally have you have this number over here and you have this number over here, right? This number means nothing. Is this good? Is this world leading? Or is this below average performance for out of the box pipelines in the Python world? I don't know. In fact, nobody would know because this is very dependent on your configuration. So don't provide numbers that no one cares about, and provide numbers where people actually care about them. All right, that's a general point I'm going to make for you. Let me see. I have some. Hold on, let me answer some DMs. Some examples. All right, moving on. All right. What is this? A spammer. How do I report? What is this? Terrorism. Oh my god, you can report for terrorism on Twitch? God fucking damn. Holy shit. Yapper. Submit report. Block that fucking hoe. Alright, boom, done. Alright. What's the file extension for uploading resumes? Unable to upload PDF or Word file. Just as a pro tip, never submit Word files to resumes to ATS. That's just a that's just a horrendous format. How do I look at the viewer mode? Oh, viewer mode. Yeah, okay. Looks kind of clear to me. Okay. Anyways, yeah, just PDF. PDF is not really safe for downloading, so I ban PDFs. I would recommend images in this case, but I would recommend submitting PDF to ATS. All right, next one. Holy cow! Can we get some resolution, please? Well, we'll make do. We'll make do. All right, comment. Aiming for full stack software internship roles. This is my first internship search. Don't really have previous experience with club software dev. 100 plus applications and OAs, except from companies with auto OA. I am trying to also go for cloud roles. Doubt there's a lot of internship positions for that. Don't know if I should make better products or need to reply more. Okay, so you have a less than 1% response rate. That's usually something going on here. Let me take a look. All right, U of T. Where's my pen? Okay, this is your, yeah, so again, I wouldn't put this experience, put it as like club or even project. Cloud storage processing cost 40%, shifting PDF image parsing to client side with lightweight JavaScript libraries, automated text extraction indexing, tesseract, instant search across 50 uploaded documents, automated text extraction indexing, enabling instant search. What is this? Okay, I'm assuming if you had a club name here, this would be more obvious. I don't know what the purpose of this is. Enhanced platform security with putting Firebase authentication, role-based access, 200 plus years. Okay. All right. June 2020 remote. Okay, interesting. All right. Okay, so some project skills, a lot of stuff there. Okay. Better papers, research paper web app, research paper web app, some stuff. Collected 1,000 research papers, blah blah. Okay. Efficient, quantify that. Boosted front-end performance and UX. But building a React app. Okay, so this is what I'm saying about adjectives and verbs. Okay, boosted in this case doesn't make sense because boosted is relative, right? For example, you can say I boosted front-end performance by migrating to React from something else. Then it's like, oh, now it's relatively faster, right? What you're actually saying here is you created an app which has properties such as sub-second loading and adjectives latex rendering, right? That's not boosting, right? Like boosting is relative. There's nothing to compare against. So this word is just a wrong word to use. But it also kind of discredits a lot of the resume because now I know you're just slapping adjectives and verbs everywhere. And also, things like, for example, seamless LaTeX rendering, that's very cool, but you can quantify that, right? Like, if you're already talking about load times, by the way, subsetting load time doesn't necessarily mean it's good. But if you're already talking about load times, what's the load time for the LaTeX side, right? So, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things here, a lot of adjectives, not enough data. Okay, now I think the data is actually fine. I just don't think you need to say seamless. That's all. Simplified deployment environment using Docker. Well, that's good actually. Demo. What I would do, okay, is I will put a link icon over here and make this blue. All right. By the way, is this actually red in real life? Oh, this is okay. So these are blue. These are red. Everything needs to be black. Links are gonna be blue. Okay, like don't fuck around with that. There's no point. Same thing here, right? Android app, boom, Google Play Store link. 5% cross-functional team Scrum Master. Okay, so a couple things I'm going to say here. Don't have your first point be about Scrum Master in a class project. Actually, is this a class project? I shouldn't assume. Jetpack Compose, I would have to assume Jetpack Compose and Jira means it's a class project. I don't think people use those willingly. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe in Toronto they do. Okay, like the best I can say this is like this is even a bit excessive if this was employment. Okay, I don't. If you really wanted people to know that you are a Scrum Master, maybe put that like second last, right? Like that. Maybe that's what I would say. So put that second last. Maybe go from there. I definitely don't think this should be the leading point of your Android. I think the leading point should be what does it do? What does this app do? And how did you contribute to that? Like that's what I would say. The first point being Scrum Master is actually I think a misunderstanding of what's going on with projects. Empower. Okay, so this should be the first point. Okay. Risk load time. Okay, Firebase stuff going on here. Okay, blah blah blah. Agents, UI agents. Blah blah. Blah. Okay. All right. So your question was what again? Your question is okay. I see. Okay. A couple of things here. Just want to just say off the bat. There's a lot of stuff on here, but if you actually look at the skills on display, I think you're missing a couple of critical pieces. Okay, so again, employment-wise, you're saying full stack. I think that's a great aim. Excuse me, great aim, full stack. Now let's actually look at your full stack skills. Oh my god, I got the hiccups. Okay, excuse me. So over here, this is not clear what's going on. This is maybe a little front end action with JavaScript, a little front end on client. Okay, that's good. Firebase. Okay, this one you have fast API. So a little bit of API layer. You have React over here. Okay, this had Docker. Now, all you said here was Docker. I didn't see anything else. I didn't see, for example, orchestration. I didn't see Kubernetes here. You didn't talk about like Jenkins or something. So, CI/CD here, you maybe can elaborate a bit on that one. All I see here is Docker. I'm gonna just judge it at face value. That's Docker. Okay, you got Firebase again. This is a front end extension. So what I'm seeing here is you have quite a bit of front end, right? You got an extension here. You got some React going on. You got over here, this is some front end. I don't know what framework this is, but you got some front end going on. So you got some front end, but your back end is actually 100% Firebase. And the thing about Firebase is that Firebase is really good at getting stuff done, but it is very bad at demonstrating skill because it does not take skill to use Firebase. So I would say your biggest gap right now is that you got no back end. Okay, I would recommend you actually make a real backend project or swap out Firebase on one of these things, swap it out for a real backend. That way you could actually demonstrate some knowledge and ability on the backend side of things because too much dependence on Firebase is not a skill, right? Firebase, hackathons, fantastic. Startups, fantastic. Showcasing skill, nobody uses Firebase because it's not scalable. All right. Some comments. Isn't isn't less than 1% response rate norm for previous experienced students? Yes and no. It depends. So this is a thing where I'm saying it's a guideline. The reason it's a guideline is because it depends on who you apply to, right? If you send 100 applications to Fang as a no experience, then yeah, you're going to be less than 1%. But if you're sending 100 applications to a uniform distribution in your city, then you're likely still, even if you're no experience, you're still going to be more than 1%. And again, it also depends on the resume, right? If you're sending a really bad resume, then yeah, it's probably less than 1%. If you got no experience but sending a good resume, I would still expect you to get 2, 3, maybe even 4% rate on that. Okay, so I mean, it's just a guideline. It depends. Less than 1% is not unheard of, but it's also not super common either, even for first timers. All right, moving on. All right, moving on. Okay, what we got here? Winter and or summer role, not coding in Node.js and backend preferably or infra. What is this sentence? This sentence is not coherent. I'm gonna try this again. Get a winter or and. Also, it's the first time I see someone says or and, not and or. That's actually pretty funny. Get a winter or and summer role, not coding in Node.js and in backend or infra. See, this is where I will bring up my freaking linguistics modern and say this is an ambiguous sentence. Do you mean not coding in Node.js and not in backend and not in infra, or do you mean not coding in JS and yes coding in backend and yes coding in infra? So I'm gonna assume based on your name you mean the latter, and your year. I assume you mean the latter. That's pretty common for people. And your question is, how strong is a resume? I got one solid interview, but I don't know if success. Okay. Don't work with Node. Yep. Okay. Yeah. See, I've come full circle. I actually like Node now, not because I think Node is good, but because Node is productive. Projects. Okay, so this is 2022. So you're actually pretty senior now. Okay. Okay. Relevant courses, blah. The boards, no one cares. Hack the North first place. Best of the Databricks. Redis stream pipeline, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Aggregated posts into bronze, silver, gold data sets. Okay, this is a hackathon. Alright, that's fine. I don't know. Bit of pipe. Okay. I think you would have to see the pipeline itself to know what's going on here. This is a hackathon, so I won't put too much weight on that. Leetcode, challenge the square bot, Chrome extension. Okay, 50 active users, Chrome extension, backend, server, logs to a shared Google Sheet in MySQL database on Cloud SQL, Discord bot. Okay. GK Terraform, YAML, Nginx. Okay, IP self-input. Okay. Blue Green 24. Okay, I like that. That's good. Cybersecurity protocol, Terraform, private subnet, origin validation. Okay. Okay. I like this, by the way. Fake Jam, big fan. Slack integrated health check bot monitoring team morale across teams and interesting. Okay. Stop post requests high in traffic, requests per second. That's pretty good. P95 417, great data. That's a great point here. I love seeing that for projects. Redis cache. Okay. I don't know if it's worth a full point, but that's okay. Sure. Matchmaking server, zero coupling between matchmaking and gameplay sessions. That creates and pairs player dedicated audio. Okay. Matchmaking server? Great. Okay. Horizontally scale. Okay. Okay. I see. Yeah. Implement a dynamic worm pulling QIP. Parent animal. Okay. Scale and scope. Okay. Blah blah blah. Okay. That's great. Oh, this is fantastic. This is what we really want to see. That's really good. That's really good. React. Don't care. Don't care. Oh, this is interesting. VP UI UX. UX UI. I think that's worth a point. That's fine. Blah blah. Okay. Resume is pretty strong considering you have no employment. These are all projects. The products are quite strong here. Okay, the products are really quite strong here. I think you've got a lot of stuff going on. What I would also recommend, by the way, and I don't know if you've done any, like you're going. I obviously know you're going for a backend here, right? Backend infra. A lot of stuff here, I think, could really benefit from having a website. Like, and just to be clear, I'm not saying get like a fancy, nice animations, nice tailwind. No. I just being like, you got stuff on GitHub right now. That's okay, right? People like me, we like backend. That's chill. A lot of people, they're gonna want to see a website, right? It could be really even a really basic one, just like a static HTML kind of like maybe like a bootstraps kind of thing, right? So static thing. I think that's like I think you could spend maybe like I would say that's probably like 5 hours to make a website per project. 15, 20 hours. I think that would really elevate this resume. So I would recommend that could be a really good way to kind of get a bit more oomph out of what you already put in. Because I know you put in more than 20 hours on this, obviously. So I would say that's probably a good use of your time. Again, I think the products themselves are actually quite well done. I think that's quite competitive. But I just think that in terms of, visibility, like converting those, like converting that screen, I think that could be maybe the next step. Pure backhand and infra roles these days are going to be more competitive than full stack. Just fewer roles, right? Fewer roles, and you got to imagine a lot of people who have education, they're going to also come out with pretty competitive resumes. So just be aware of that. When you can find opportunities to spend a little bit of time and get a major advantage, that's probably going to be worth it. So that's my tip to you there. All right. Is this fucking comment banned or not? I can't fucking tell. All right, whatever. Should make a 2-minute demo for the other projects. Oh, you do have a website. Okay, I think that's great. I mean, yeah, I think you should absolutely make demos. I think you should make demos and you should put them front and center on your GitHub. I think demos are really good, especially for non-technical people. Okay, a lot of people looking at resumes are actually not technical. They actually have no fucking clue what any of these fucking words are. Okay, and so what you should focus your video demo on is what is the value. And obviously these are projects, you probably don't have any users, like 10 users. Okay, that's whatever, right? but you should just try to. I don't know. I mean, I don't have too many tips for you there, but try to angle it from a value perspective. Okay, I think that's going to be helpful for you. So, again, 2 minute demo, probably gonna take you like fucking an hour to put together. Like, I think that's good use of your time. So I would recommend that for sure. All right, but I want to be clear. I think the products themselves are actually quite good, and I think you're on the right track. So keep it up there. I think that's quite good. All right, take a look at this guy. Take a look at this. All right, boom. Actually, was there any comments? Okay, let's take a look. The website explains each product already. It did not link them. That's fine. Just save them in the future. Just put them resume. I mean, you have space. Excuse me. Should I like Hack the North for non technical? What do you mean you should like Hack the North? I mean yeah, you should. I mean, you went there, so presume. Oh, link. Okay, sorry, I just started counting. Should I link Hack the North or say it's a Waterloo? Why don't you just do both? Like, what do you mean? Just like you have your dev post here. Just say hack. I would just say Hack the North Waterloo 2025. Boom, and I'll put a link here to the website. That's what I would do if I were you. All right, this guy's. I'm experienced dev, still need feedback. All right. How much experience do you have? Indian, okay. 2012, 2 years, year and a half. That. So like 2 years. This is in India, Hyderabad. Okay. Okay, so you got quite. So okay, so like 7 years before now. Now you're still. No, you're still in India. Okay, wait. Are you? Wait, where are you? Are you? Are you still in India? Are you trying to get jobs in? I don't understand the goal here. Oh, okay. Oh wait, I see. You're currently in Canada. You're trying to look at some stuff in Canada. Okay, sorry, I didn't scroll. That. I mean, that's not me. All right, let me take a look here. So. Oh, I forgot to check my Twitch. Okay, my stream chat just fucking disappeared. Where's my stream chat? Oh, I gotta open it. Okay. Wait, where did my previous chat go? I can't scroll up? Oh, I can't fucking scroll up. You shouldn't be, right? Hold on, guys. Everyone, hold up. I'm gonna stay extra time today because I'm like chilling, but I need to figure this shit out. Where the fuck my fucking shit go? Okay, where's this? Okay, where's the admin view? Hold on. Report live stream. No, I'm in some own fucking live stream. What am I doing? Stream summary. Stream summary. Where's the fucking chat? Overview. Here we go. Let's take a look. No, this is not Hearthstone. Research. What? Is my chat gone? Dude, there's no way this is a fucking real platform, dude. Where's my chat? Am I fucking stupid? What? Milestones. No. Stream manager. Oh, maybe here. Stream manager. My chat. Also empty. Alright, whatever. I give up. Dude, Twitch is a fucking joke. Anyways. YouTube, I used to shit on YouTube and then I realized, dude, Twitch is fucking dog shit. You can't even go back in the stream. You have to clip it. I thought people would just clip it for fun, but they actually have to clip it if they want to rewatch a fucking stream. That's actually crazy. Bing bong. Yeah, okay. Now I see the chat. I see the new chat. I just don't see the old messages. How hard is it to fucking store messages, Twitch? Users in chat, pop out chat, edit layout. No, I don't want to edit layout. Oh, get out of here. Oh shit, I clicked something wrong. Oh, my chat's gone again. Alright, well, whatever, I give up. Wait, where's my fucking tabs? Okay, here it is. Alright. So you're in Canada. Alright, you're in Canada. A lot of experience. Last time worked a year ago, so people are going to look at that with some concern. MBA from UCW. Okay. Why do you have an MBA? Wait, are you going for tech roles? What? Hold on. I'm assuming you're going for tech roles. If you're going for business roles, I can't help you, okay? I don't know anything about business. I can't help you there. You were here for 5 years, so let's say we did in 5 years. Led a team of engineers designed deploying full stack. Okay. Flash data, scale mark service, scalable, principle from the reducing latency by 20. I would elaborate on that if you can. What is scalable about it? The only thing you've said so far is you have Spring Boot and MySQL, both of which can't horizontally scale. so little doubt there. CI/CD pipelines checking Dockers, that's normal. Cross-functional relationship stakeholders, this is actually good. Mentor junior devs, I like that, that's good. I wouldn't say Agile and Scrum method. Oh, maybe in India, Agile and Scrum are really important. Over here, people do it, but they don't brag about it. So I would more so quantify this as, how effective was the onboarding process? How far did he get them in their careers? That's more how I would describe mentorship in this context. Um, Architect, design, develop front end application, focus security programs, blah blah. Okay. MVC to Angular. Oh yeah, okay. Angular must be big in India. Improve maintainability by 25%. How do you how do you come up with that? Incorporating pub/sub design. Okay, load time 18 seconds load time. Holy cow, that is. I mean, 3 seconds. I'm hesitant to say 3 seconds load time is good, but 18 is definitely a big improvement. So, I mean, hats off to you there. Holy shit. WordPress plugins, Figma. Okay. Data science partnership, data cleaning. Normalization. Okay, some data stuff. This sounds less relevant. I would cut that down. This again, I would say so. You have enough experience now that I would say these should have no points. Like there's no that doesn't say anything. Just have only have the header. Just have the header. This one I might keep 1 point on. Maybe 1 point on if you have something that you really want to talk about data science collaboration. Put like 1 point there. These two, this one I think is one you gotta elaborate a bit more. This is your most recent experience. The other one was what is that? That's 6 years ago now. Soon to be 7 years ago now. So that's going to be a bit far back. This is sort of your main experience here. So this is where I would focus on more of your attention. I would also just say in Canada it's typically. I mean you have a header here. If you want to have a header, I think that's fine. Well, summary is fine, but I would say keep it concise. Right? Keep it concise, 2 sentences max kind of thing. Right? Don't run on there. It's not a good thing. This is also being streamed on YouTube. This is streamed on YouTube and Twitch. I originally actually started off on Twitch, and then I moved to YouTube because Twitch is, in my opinion, unusable, and they also only store VODs for 7 days, which is also unusable because I can't share it after. So I said this is a dog shit platform. I'm going to YouTube, and YouTube is a much better platform, but also there's just not that many people on YouTube. A lot of people in this age and demographic prefer Twitch, so my hand is kind of forced. I stream on both. It doesn't cost me extra to stream on both, so I just stream on both. It's whatever. All right, let's take a look. All right. God damn, I'm so fucking humble and generous today. Let's take a look. Do I hash yet? Okay, no. Okay, I have time. All right, we're chilling. Yeah, but if you had a question in Twitch, you gotta retype it because I fucking missed it. All right, going for backend full stack summer 26, winter 26, 27. All right. Okay. Activision, present, Transoft. That's more than a year ago now. Wait, that's almost 2 years ago now. NetApp. I actually know a couple of NetApp people. One guy recently moved, I know. Or girl rather. Curriculars. These are 2 presents. Leading, Launchpad, Mint. What's Mint? Okay, that's kind of cool. UTA recently. Crochet Corner Shop. Links, I like the links. Those are good. Localization Pit Package. Force Explorer. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Commerce feature. Black Ops 7. Damn, done on 7 already. Holy shit. 50 plus vehicle simulations. Blah blah. Compressed files. Blah. Okay. Fine. Automations. Cucumber. Oh, Ruby, right? Oh, that uses Ruby. Okay. Okay. This is. That's fine. That's good. Okay. Okay, I see. So you got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of it is more. You have a recent employment here. That's going to be your main. Again, so this is going to be similar to. Sorry, this is going to be similar to one of the guys earlier, what you're going to have on your resume is you're going to have one recent work experience that's going to be weighed substantially more than everything else. Okay? Now, so what I would say there is, as you're going to this role, I would recommend you don't spend any time on projects as needed and spend all your time on heavy impact at Activision. I think that would be a much better use of your effort. Now, let me actually look at the stuff here. So these are all normal, whatever. This is new, so we'll see how that goes. This has been here for a while. So you build a website. So you build a web app. Is the web app public? If it is, I would like to see it. I mean, it's obviously GitHub's hosted. If the actual website itself is hosted, I will put it there. 2 points here, I think, is kind of okay. I mean, this point here sounds kind of cool. It is a good improvement. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good improvement. I just don't think that's worth the whole point, personally. I mean, okay, this is a MERN stack. I think MERN is good. Keep it up. Localization, pip. What are you going for? Are you going backend or what? Backend full stack. Okay, backend full stack. Let me have a look at this one. This is, by the way, is this on pip? If it's on pip, I would put a front end center. Put the pip link there, because on pip they can see downloads, right? Pip. No, is NumPy on pip? Let me see. Wait, where's the? Oh, packages. Where's the? Here it is. Does it show downloads? Let's see. Wait, does it not show downloads? Okay, maybe it doesn't show. Wait, what? Okay, maybe I'm tripping. Wait, maybe it's just this one package. Let me search up. I don't know, pillow. Fork stars. Huh? Really? No fucking way, dude. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just doesn't show download information. Okay, never mind. I would still put the pip link up there if you have like a PyPy link or something. That'd be good. Okay. Okay, that's good. Course Explorer 310. This is 310, right? Let me just check. Yeah, that's 310. 310 on this resume. Okay, let me see. What would I do? Oh, I mean, easy. Yeah, once you get 5 points over here, I would just completely remove this entire thing. Easy. All right, moving on. How many resumes were submitted today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. So 8 were submitted, but 1 had their name, so I didn't show them. Yeah. I'll select your Discord username, by the way. Chat is gone. Chat is gone for you? Well, I don't know what to tell you. Too fucking bad. I can't do anything about it. After you're done, any thoughts on the Trump's H-1B executive order charging $100,000 annual fees to work at his company? Can you drop the YouTube link here? I can't find it. Okay, I can drop the YouTube link for you. I don't like to get political. I don't care about that. Here you go. Here's a link. I was wondering earlier if I was even able to post links myself. All I will say about that is, I mean, most people who go to the U.S. for work, I mean, you're going there for more money. But from what I can tell, that is sort of the only reason you go. Right? Like your quality of life is not better than Canada or Western European countries or even some Eastern Asian countries if you have that kind of money. Career progression is gonna be very similar. That's gonna be more dependent on your personality and your personal direction than than just a country, right? So I think that if you're going there for the money, this doesn't really change anything. You're still going for the money. That's that. But look, I don't go for money. I don't care about that. But some people do. Sure, go ahead. Let's see. Amazon pip. Yeah, it is a bit. It is ironic that those two are the same initialism. All right, this guy. What's this guy's resume about? Let's take a look. Have I seen this one before? I think I might have seen this one before. Go for full stack software. Internship is breadth focused. Take whatever I can. Take what I could, and I want to figure out my depth focus soon. I'm gonna look at feedback on Amazon experience bullet points, how they sound. You read the rest of the resume, still change some points. Okay, so I have seen this. Okay. All right. So queue-based service using CDK TypeScript to dynamic scale workers. Auto scaling solution for queue-based workers. So I think you're leaning the wrong data here. So the CDK and TypeScript, by the way, I think most CDK is written in TypeScript these days, but like this isn't really a thing. Like this doesn't cause a good auto scaling solution, right? I think you can definitely talk a little bit more about what was considered during this process. And then if you really want people to know that you know how to use a CDK and TypeScript, which by the way, no one, those are just irrelevant skills at this level. Like just put it in your skills section, move on. Talk more about things like, for example, like actual algorithms, techniques being used, things like what other teams were consulted, things about your thought process, what didn't work, what did work, improvements. That I think is gonna be more important. Fit that in if you can. Okay. What is this? Multi-threaded Python load testing. Okay. Develop test workers in Java to test auto scaling development pipeline progression testing. Research and implement optimal scaling strategy elements and cloud management. Okay, I think these points are fine. It's just that I just don't think there should be an emphasis on AWS CDK and TypeScript. Want to put that in? Put it in the end. I think that'd be okay. Yeah, though this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Put the product name, put a getter link, and put a link icon. And this is an open new tab icon that works too. Doesn't really matter, but I'd say this is what you should be doing, like everybody else. All right. And then last one for today. Let's take a look. All right. All right. This guy's comment. Trying into big tech. Okay. All right. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Anything going on in chat? No, but we got a silly Kato chatting me up. Let's fucking go. That's good. Okay. Echo. Haven't heard of Echo before. SQLite. Firestore. Let's search videos too. Okay. All right. $7 per day. What's that? Okay, that's pretty good. 100,000, 1 million, so 70 per second. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, I can see decent. This is financial, so 70 per second. That's pretty good. 100,000. Yeah. Okay. Architects. Blah blah blah. Keycloak. On-prem Keycloak. I actually didn't know they had an on-prem Keycloak. That's pretty cool. QDB. Okay. You were here for 2 years. Built an API. Did refactoring for a linking integration. That sounds like it could be complex, but I'm not too sure. If the refactoring had some complexity, or if it had, any let's say developmental advantages aside from just literally using one caching database, which I'm a bit skeptical you needed to do a refactor to use it, but that's okay. I would definitely elaborate on that one. I know right now you're trying to limit things to one line per point. I don't think that's super important. You can have 2 lines per point if it's a good point. So I would maybe elaborate a bit on that refactoring. The other two sound good to me. Okay. Okay. Reduce system refactoring GitHub action with flow direction. Okay. Okay. Okay, sure. Okay. Okay. GraphQL, Rails endpoints. This is an internship. That's pretty good for that. Intern full stack, Elixir, Jesus. Kubernetes, okay. Source code is good, okay. You have some good stuff here. You have some good stuff here. I feel like it's you're either holding back or you have some really strict 4 point per thing template. Like it's very aesthetic. You got 4 points, but that's not really point. That doesn't give you any bonus points. I would say this is. I mean, this is obviously your most recent experience. You came here 2 years. That's quite a while. I think you should definitely elaborate on what's going on here. Okay, so first of all, good opening point. You should definitely elaborate on what's going on with refactoring. Talk a bit more about the business side of things. I think you can talk a bit more about the business utility. So you got the dev side of things, business utility. I think that would tie things together a little bit better. I think that'd be really good. And then you know, high throughput. Maybe you can quantify that. Depending how sensitive it is, I would maybe consider putting some numbers in there again. Because you put the numbers in here, you didn't put the numbers in here, so it's a bit weird. You know what I mean? But I would say start with that. I think by the way, the stuff you've done here so far is actually quite good. I don't think there's any concern for me with the project or the direction. I think this is going to be. I think currently what I would say is, the resume, the skills, the products are all there. I think this is all fine. For you, because you're asking how to get into big tech, I would say the best thing for you to do here is actually to focus on networking, and focus on meeting people. Right, spending your time on that is going to yield better ROI than spending time on resume optimization. But still to give you a couple points there because I feel like you could do a little bit better. But yeah, it's good. Oh, one guy just submitted. This guy's from an interesting location, so I'm gonna. This is the last one then. This is gonna be the last one. And Regina. Okay, USask. I've talked to a couple USask guys before. Um, they were visiting UVic. I was at UVic as well that time, so that was pretty fun. Anyways, let's take a look. Okay, so wait, what's your message? Your message. Trying to land new grad roles since I graduated in October. Gotten a couple OAs. Very few compared to how much I applied for. Wondering if I could possibly improve my resume, develop new. Wondering if I could possibly improve my resume, more developed new projects, which are on the resume. How to improve as well. I'm the software dev. Okay. Um. Okay. A lot of courses. Nothing really stands out to me there. You're trying to land a new grad. Wait, what's you're trying to land a new grad role? What's this then? I'm a bit confused. But anyways, Realize bank logic. So this point needs a bit more context. Refactoring by itself shouldn't really change load time. I would actually talk about how you like what was it about that what was it about the refactoring that you changed that helped performance. I think this is missing a little detail there. UX systems. This is a good opening point. I would put this as the opener instead of maintain and debugged. That's not really important. Scoped and deliver high priority features. Collaboration harmony, pretty good. Test validated. Okay. Testing, was this systematic testing or was this just manual testing? It sounds like manual testing, so if so, I wouldn't put that point there. Excel SharePoint system analyst error. Okay, what is this? Okay, so this is something else. I mean, what this is? So you actually made the models. You made the models. What is the accuracy? The only thing that matters in ML is your error rate. False positive, false negative rate. That's the only thing that matters. Where are they? E-commerce, MERN stack. Okay, sure. Car enthusiast app, React Native, Node, social platform. That's fine. Okay. Okay. So I think obviously the main thing here is just you got some products which are fairly recent. I think that's good. Obviously, your current experience is going to be the biggest weight. I would definitely focus a bit more on that. Now, let's say you're still here, which means that you have opportunity to continue developing and to grow. I was a bit confused when your message saying you're searching for new grad roles. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like you're still here, so I would clarify that, whatever's going on there. I have the suspicion as long as the resume looks good and the right keywords, has the right keywords, and sounds plausible, doesn't really matter. I kind of want to A/B test it. Yeah, I mean that's true. I can't show my resume this one because I actually put some funny shit on it. But let me actually see if I can pull it up. Resume. This is the funniest resume I ever made. 2019, no, 2022, 25 set. Okay, yes, February 9th. I made a resume, one pager. I have it on my other screen here. No formatting, no indenting, no nothing. Total word count. Let me see. What is the total word count? I think it's this. Word count words. Control Shift C. What kind of fucking thing is that? Total word count 150, which is very very sparse, and that one got me through many rounds. So, I mean, don't need A/B test. I did it for you already. It's not that I didn't lie about anything, but it's like yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on things about resumes that don't matter at all. So that's definitely true. Though again, it does depend on also on who the receiving end is. Especially if it's a smaller company, they're gonna have a human involved a bit earlier, and so you want to make sure you can get past that. Hey, I was wondering, are the resumes submitted for the review new for each live review? Were submitted one at the end of last time, but couldn't get reviewed. Yes, they are at the. They are. I only accept them in the current session because I cannot guarantee that people from previous sessions were here. But since you did comment, I'm happy to view your resume. Let me see if I can find it. End of the last session. Both people from the end of the last session I have actually already reviewed, so I'm assuming I reviewed your resume. But yeah. Alright, that's all. That's all the stuff I have. They probably read the bullet points. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they read it all, but it is what it is.